So first of all, thank you, Purva, Amol, and Ali for accepting this kind of a small interview. Basically, we're trying to understand oral histories surrounded around the Kumbh and Kumbh's impact on Nasik. Because your firm, your office has been working in urban development, has been given a lot of proposals through competitions. We thought that this would be a right set of interviews that we can take. So one of the things that we were just trying to brainstorm was that as architects and urban designers, we've been practicing in the city for quite a few years now. So how do you see the city change with the developments that are shaping around Nasik since you have started to practice?
In particular reference to Kumbh or generally?
Just generally, how do you see the progression of the development since you've begun your practice?
Yeah, I think you both can talk more. Particular to this, because you've come from an outside and you've seen Nasik 20 years ago as a very nice little town to today where it's growing and we are part of that growth somewhere. So maybe you two can just have little.
In a way, if you see city as when it comes to a city which can be livable, I think Nashik was one of the city which, when we came into Nashik in 2002, was the best place what we can see for the livability of the city in that context. Eventually, when we stayed here, when we gradually looked around the city and we experienced the city over the years, of course it has changed a lot in terms of the infrastructure majorly. Because Nashik being a city which is majorly holds the pilgrimage of the state, because it's a place for Kumbh. There are people who are pouring every day like anything because of Ramkund, which is here in Nashik, and Trambakeshwar in the vicinity, and many religious spaces around the city. So to cater with that particular the scale of the quantity of the people in particular religious sector, of course tourism also gets enriched because of that. So city, what we have seen city like, it's started growing into its infrastructure very rapidly. When we were here, we could see very few strong places where you can see that is going to help the people who are coming from outside. But now if you see, it's rapidly the growth has been happened. So in a way, if I talk about the infrastructure towards the tourism and the pilgrimage, of course we have seen the very drastic change in the city over the years. That's what I feel.
What I would like to add is Mumbai is always in a close vicinity to Nasik, and Pune is also in a close vicinity to Nasik. So because of Mumbai and Pune, there is always an influence on the city like Nasik, because these are the first tier city, and we can say that the Nasik is a second tier city. So we see the influence from Mumbai and Pune majorly into the Nasik city. What I think is the development what is happening here in Nasik is it's not very much planned development what we say. There is a need, and then the development starts coming into picture. Right. So it is always like that. And still what we feel is Nasik is initially majorly based on the pilgrimage, and then slowly the other sectors are coming into picture. What we see is Satpur and Ambad are nice industrial areas, but still what I think is the development what should happen because of these magnet points, it's not that much great in Nasik. Yeah.
Okay. And just a follow-up question to this. How much has Nasik being a Kumbh city played a role in the infrastructural development of the city?
Yeah, that's what I answered.
Yeah. I think two Kumbhs since we are, 2003, 2015, and now we have one more coming up. So each Kumbh, specifically 2003, I could not remember a lot, or we were too naive and young at that time. But 2015 Kumbh, there's been a lot of development, specifically ring roads and things like that, which has surged real estate prices, land prices, and everything like that. And the city has kind of grown a layer out, peripheral villages added, and similar is expected at this Kumbh. I'm not sure because of the timelines that we have right now, but each surge every 12 years does that. But the shift, I think, has been exponential in last to this Kumbh. Maybe because of the backdrop of Prayagraj, the social media playing a role of going to a Kumbh tick mark sort of thing. So that might be, मतलब उसकी वजह से ज़्यादा फंडिंग भी आ रहा है, और I don't know projects कितना होगा. So that is one thing which has helped. I was very young. If you go back to 90s and that time, the Kumbhs used to be very accessible kind of places at that point of time. My family, I remember as a very kid, my family would go, and right now I don't think so. We think like that. Bhai Kumbh hai, aaj ghar pe baitho, aaj Shahi Snan hai. We don't want to go out. This is what has happened in the last Kumbh, and I'm sure this is going to happen in this Kumbh also. But I think Ali did had a good overview of the 15 Kumbh. Thoda bahut.
Yeah. Actually, I have visited many places. I have visited Ujjain. I have visited Haridwar for the Kumbh. What I think is Nasik has a unique character. I mean to say that everywhere where Kumbh is happening, the Kumbh is always on the other bank of the river, and the city is on one bank of the river. So whatever happens is the Kumbh is happening in the city, and it is affecting the infrastructure of the city. Right, but then as it is on the other bank of the river, so the what we can say, the combination of both the things or the interaction of both the things is a little less. But then what we see in Nasik, there's a unique character. There's a river flowing in between, and the city has grown on both the sides. As Nasik is a religious center town, and also what we can say, it was capital of Peshwas as well, second capital of Peshwas as well. So that's the reason the Nasik has grown both the sides of the river. So what I think is whatever interventions, whatever is doing in the city because of the Kumbh, it has to be very thoughtful, and because in this case it is going to majorly affect the city. From the last two Kumbhs, what we see is they are extending the ghats. And the ghats has reached till Tapovan area. Yes, I can understand it is a necessity at the time of Kumbh, very important at the time of the Kumbh. But then what happens to such infrastructure after Kumbh Mela? And also people do have a strong belief that whenever they are taking a bath or taking a dip during Kumbh time, so they always prefer going to Ramkund because that is the most holiest place, and they take a dip there. So just to accommodate a large amount of people, they are just extending the ghats, and the ghats are really very dry.
Right.
Yes. So this intervention has to be very, very thoughtful.
Yeah, I think because of the very unique nature of the Kumbh happening in the core of the city, that is why the development coming along with Kumbh is sort of a permanent nature. Whereas if you see Haridwar or Ujjain, it is of an ephemeral kind. It comes and it evaporates after the event has happened. It doesn't really affect city, but whatever we are intervening is right in the heart of the city. So the thoughtfulness has to be little more when we are talking of Nasik as a intervention around Kumbh.
When you see the river, the town, there is a river, and the akhadas, what we say, the group of sadhus, and they come together, and the group of people, what we say is akhadas. They are just next to the river. They're not staying away from the river. But what we see in the Nasik is there is a very dense fabric. They are staying at Tapovan and they follow a path and they reach the Kumbh place to take a dip.
Right.
That's the different nature. What we say, it's very different from other places and Nasik.
Right.
Has there been any initiative by the state or the local government to get any kinds of architects or urban planners local to the city to have a say in any of the planning?
Recently for the Kumbh, they have appointed a committee recently, which is a very, I think, a weeks ago development.
Last week.
Yeah. They have appointed a committee who have architects and sensitive people around, and there are a lot of people working around it for against the concretization of the river, against maintaining the character and a lot of things like that. I'm not sure how far does it go in terms of implementation, given the time constraint that we have. We are, I think, 7 months away from the event actually, so I'm not sure how much and what kind of interventions do we have time for public opinion on all that projects, large money projects. But yes, there is a committee recently formed, and there is otherwise also an urban design cell working, formulated. I'm not sure how much of work they are doing, but there's a cell has been appointed.
They have involved the designers and the students a few months back. They have floated some competition for the new, for the
Ghat proposals.
Ghat proposals and things.
Right.
So that was one of the effort what they have taken.
Yeah, they've taken.
But again, we feel that was a tick mark.
Yeah.
They have taken some activity there because whatever proposals they had asked us to do, for the in the competition, those proposals were already discussed and designed when there was a proposal of the smart city of that particular part. Because we were working on that particular patch, and all the proposals were asked to design for that area only, which were already discussed, churn a lot.
Yeah, till the working drawing level, I guess.
Working drawing level, we have released everything, and then things didn't happen. That is another story, but it was done. But again, the competition has been taken, and they have asked for the entries.
There were
and
handsome
some-
300 plus entries for that competition across India, but nothing has happened after that.
As of we don't know.
Yeah, as of-
but
yeah,
of course there was a competition which happened twice, I think.
Yeah.
One happened for the logo, and then second happened for these interventions. And then thirdly, what Purva had introduced for the last week, they have formulated a committee. So this happens, but not. I don't know what is the outcome. We have never seen the outcome. It must be happening back in the backdrop, but not vividly. We heard from the community that okay, we were invited, we got selected, and then this has been taken ahead, and then this is what we are designing now. This was our proposal. We have never heard that. So it has been asked, but we don't know if that goes ahead or not. But of course, there is effort, whether it may be a tick mark or not.
Even
So we have not heard this initially before the Kumbh Mela. It was
पहले
not
के
happened.
कुंभ में ये नहीं हुआ था.
Rather, or we
were
not
young,
heard about it.
I guess.
We
Yeah.
were not involved, so we didn't.
So if we look back, we started practicing in 2009, and since then what we saw is our seniors and our faculty, they did form small committees, they did form design cell, and Ramkund was a very hot topic, and everybody worked on Ramkund area. But then there was no formal committee or formal organization was formed. Which would help the development of Ramkund area. See, Rahul Dabir sir also did a UNESCO listing of the buildings where they have categorized the buildings in A, B, and C categories, in ABC categories, according to the heritage value of the building. So we didn't really then see that. Since then, 2009, we were trying, because our thesis were also based on this. My urban design thesis was based on Nasik. So we were trying a lot that something should happen. what we can see is all the interventions what we see around was happening in little bits and pieces. Sundarnaya temple, and this was not united under one urban design proposal where we look at all the things at one palette and then we just start connecting it. So that was very important. That was majorly important. But when we see 3-4 years back, when the smart city proposal was announced, and then we tried for it. Okay, so in that case, then we started looking the entire city as one palette, and then we started connecting all the links together. So I think smart city can be a major trigger which has helped to develop the city, and which helped to develop the different proposal and connect it together.
I think smart city was one initiative,
where
at least if I can be bold enough to say, India at least started looking at the core areas need some kind of intervention.
Right.
I'm not sure तब तक old city में कुछ काम जो भी काम हो रहा था वो electrical वाले they would just repair the lines, drainage वाला would probably repair the drainage and sewage, and that was so that was what was the work done under for the core area. So looking at it more like a placemaking and that kind of approach mostly happened through smart city. So the whole perspective I think changed after that. At least at the formation of project level, how and what projects happened at all cities is a different research altogether. Yeah.
Do you think that because of smart city, we started to look at more of the urban?
I think at least the
development,
vision was there.
Yeah, because at that time, when we let down the proposal for the first time, we were looking at the city from macro level to micro level.
Right.
So all the interventions at the macro level, where how the cycle connections can be established, how the cycle track can be established, how the old town can be connected to the new town, how the core of the city can be connected to the rest of the places.
Right.
We started with looking at the things at a broader level. Then we zoomed in to the street sections. Then we zoomed in again to see how the old core is working. I mean to say how the dustbin should be placed, how the connections of dustbin should be, how the kunds should be made, how the concretization of the kunds should be removed.
Right.
We looked at that. Then again zoom in into looking at the signages of the town. So we even gave proposals for the signages itself.
Right.
So at this time we started looking at the city from macro to micro level.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think what must have happened is before we were also involved in doing something for Kumbh from a very personal and attachment towards the city and the Rampur area perspective, which was driven mostly by a certain political will, because there was nothing else to take that ahead initially.
Right.
This is pre-smart city. But post-smart city, all that vision at least had some government stamp and someone saying, yeah, you are talking sense, let's do this. So that shift was seen from pre-smart city to post-smart city. So that was, there.
I think one thing interestingly, what you said, and we also asked one of the interviews the same question, is that do you think common people of Nasik are as excited about Kumbh and what it brings for the city as it is hyped up? Maybe, I don't know. From outside it may look like there's a lot of things happening. But do you think the same energy which common people of Nasik, do they feel that Kumbh is something that is exciting and we should go? Because just now you said that it's actually clogging up the roads and traffic jams are happening. So we tend to become more aware of not to go to old Nasik during that period of time.
So in certain kind of
I think
it's a categorically
it will vary.
it defines differs because as Purva was mentioning earlier about that we will not go because there is a lot of rush or maybe not a very suitable time to go there because it is not well managed. Well managed means the crowd is so much that you cannot manage, because as Ravi was also mentioned, it's in the city core. So it is very less scope to really handle it like prior or something because they have open ground.
Right.
So, but the second lot will be that they are completely spiritually and religiously involved. So they are at most excited to be in Kumbh. So because as we were discussing earlier about the new trends like Instagrams and this and that, people got to know about Kumbh and they are like excited to be. They want their activities to be posted on the social media.
Right,
so.
Right.
People will also get aware that what they are doing. So that is also one of the group which are intended to come there. One is the intellectuals where they want to really understand that how this particular place, the event works. So those are also people who are in the surrounding or maybe in the city also. There are many people like that who are they want to be part of this particular kind of event. So I think so there is excitement. There will be excitement naturally because it's a public event at large and it happens. I mean, it doesn't happen very regularly, but it happens after a certain period, and that's how it is. It is going to be important, and people are excited.
I think people would love to. Nasik people would love to invite for the Kumbh festival. But then definitely it is going to have a tremendous pressure on the infrastructure. If it is well organized, if the Pradikshana path is well defined, and if the circulation of people and the rerouting of people, if it is nicely done, then the people of Nasik would be happy as well as people who are visiting would be happy. There would be no congestion, there would be no clutter. But then in last Kumbh what we saw is there is too much of clutter in the city, there is too much of traffic, there is too much of load on the infrastructure. There is too much of litter in the city. The entire city was dirty after Kumbh. There is a lot of things what we see around. So if it is well managed this time, then this would be lovely.
I think I would like to add two more categories to what Amol said. One is the local business owners who are looking at the opportunity of having good business in that duration, or even makeshift businesses. There are so many people who are saying, let's get the hotel constructed, we can catch hold of Kumbh business and things like that. So that's one people excited, and there's one whole real estate market or landowners in the peripheral area who are really looking forward to what infrastructure the government is providing and how my land prices are surging or something. So that's a typical notion every Kumbh ki kya infrastructure hai and then how the real estate prices are going. So that segment is also going to be excited.
People are looking for the opportunities.
Yeah, of course.
Because I heard people discussing about Kumbh Mela hai to chalo apan koi stall lagata hai.
Yeah, I mean,
because we see some small hawkers and sometimes we stop for the tea or maybe some snacks. So I have overheard these kind of discussions that Kumbh Mela hai, we should find out who is the person who is going to handle these installations or stalls there. So we will find these guys, let us know the names, numbers, so we'll go and ask them. So people have already started thinking about where they can
This
go.
is in the core city that they're planning
where
to...
of course.
Okay.
I mean, and not only the core city, but now the Kumbh Mela is not at one place only. It travels to Gambakeshwar and places like that. So this this triangle or connection is people are looking at these connections where they can really get into, and they start their small business for a smaller time. So opportunities are, people are looking for the opportunities.
I mean, you're only talking the temporary ones. I'm saying there are people who are looking out. I'm sure the numbers are huge. People are saying let's do a permanent. So it will get its ROI in the Kumbh time. So people are even looking forward to do some good investment which will repay in that whatever months. And this time it's a 24-28 months ka Kumbh. So there's going to be a good. That's what in the business sector. That is a different viewpoint, which again happens because we have it in the core and not as an ephemeral something happening away from the city. So that's.
What I also see is there are many infrastructural proposals which are in pipeline, and those are since many years. But then what I see is Kumbh is acting as a trigger where there is a lot of budget allotted to the infrastructure development, and actually what we need is going to happen. Just for example, if you see Dwarka Circle, since long the traffic congestion is there and no proposals is taking place working out there.
Right.
So now they have given a nice proposal where they are doing one road which is underpass and then one road which is going from above.
Okay.
So this is going to resolve a lot many congestion problems, and this will help the citizens in the future. Similarly, there are many subways which is on the main flyover, which was not happening up till now, but then they have started widening it up, they have started making it bigger. So this is going to definitely reduce the bottlenecks. This is definitely going to help people, Nasik people survive in future.
Right.
Because there is a lot of traffic problem right now, but because of these proposals, yes, it will be nice.
Yeah. So there's that buzz कि कुंभ आ रहा है, ठीक हो जाएगा, kind of
So
thing.
generally people are excited. People are excited and they really want to be part of it. I mean, the infrastructure development is also. I mean, it has to be there. Otherwise, how will it survive?
Right.
It should be done. It should be done in a proper way. And I think they are trying for it. Let's
The
hope for that.
other side is also that because of this development, there's a lot that's harming the city. Be it like cutting the trees, the whole Sadhugra, Tapovan,
Yes.
and everything. So, amongst all the architects that I've spoken to, there's the contention that they should have involved local voices more to do sensitive planning for the Kumbh. Because otherwise the Sabarmati riverfront model gets applied everywhere. And like we spoke, there are so many like thesis projects, academic works that has been done, that solutions are already there. So were there any platforms or anything that emerged, conversations that to sort of contest the other side of the development, or it's gone way beyond us at this point?
We are too late for that is the only. I mean, this speculation has been Kumbh aa raha hai, kya projects hai. There has been this speculation since almost more than a year or even before that. All the stratas, the contractors are talking about kaun se road ke tenders aa rahe kya. Everybody, the real estate or landowners are talking about that. But nothing really came on paper, and it came really late to have public opinions and then talk about it and discuss it and all that thing. Even the Ramkalpat that is happening, none of it has really gone through the public opinion process, as we call it. But it surely does harm the city ecologically, most importantly.
Is your question also talks about do they take effort to involve the local architects for designing? Is that what you
I mean, you spoke about the competition being floated,
Yeah.
but nothing like going
when it comes
ahead
to the-
through that.
So yeah, recently there was a session there's a whole additional division set up for Kumbh with an additional divisional commissioner, and EY consultants are specifically oriented towards the entire planning, management and execution of the event. They had invited all the local architecture colleges, urban designers, architects, everyone, even artists and everyone to, but their brief said, help us in the beautification part. So that's what it is happening at such a late time that, and in that meeting also, everyone's voice was the same. Ki whatever you're trying to do, you want to do, you're putting funding, let that be of help after this thing. Beautification to baad mein aata hai. But I don't know, they are too much probably under pressure of the timeline that they do not have time to think all this at this stage in time. Even if they want to or they intend to. So there's just huge amount of planning that they want to do, finish and execute before the event starts, I guess. I heard they're planning some, apart from the Sadhugram site is also, I think, there are 3 now. It's not only 1. It is going to be distributed at 3 locations, speculating a good surge in the number of sadhus visiting. And they're also setting up some tent cities, is the news that I have heard, for floating pilgrims coming in, going. So the planning is going on. As far as it is an ephemeral intervention, I think it is okay. But if you're doing something really permanent, the ecology and everything has to be taken into account. I think that's what is happening with the whole Tapovan Sadhugram issue.
If you're asking about their intentions or their approach to involve the local architects rather than involving somebody from outside, my view on that is nothing wrong in hearing the knowledge of someone who is really well versed with that. But when you are doing in some in a place where you have 2 or 3 architecture schools, you have multiple many architects and designers in the city, I feel that along with them you should involve the city designers, urban designers, architects, product designers, students at large, because they know. Of course, the person who's coming from outside also does their homework. They come to city, they do research, they analyze the city in that context for what they had called for. But the people who are day-to-day living here will be well versed, or rather, they know the other sides of practical problems also.
Yeah.
So it is, for the city, it is not only most of the time practical problems, but it is emotional problem, spiritual issues, and some other management issues are also involved when you talk about the development.
Right.
So you have to address those as well. So to understand these issues, you need to really involve people who are from the same land.
Right.
So nothing bad in taking expertise who are working in this sector from outside, but of course you should involve the people who are in local. That will, it should be hand in hand. That will really help that particular problem solving better and smooth. This is what I feel. Otherwise, it will be a very one-sided approach.
Right.
It cannot really sustain for a long time. In a way that to the response with the other issues what I have mentioned earlier.
Right.
What I think is institutions plays a major role in the city. As I see, there are, as Amol said, there are many architectural colleges in Nasik. There are 3 colleges here in Nasik. So basically, a large amount of period is required to build a trust with an institute and the government. I come from SEPT culture, where we see that there is a huge interaction between the SEPT college institution, and there is a very good bond between government and them. And what is happening is, because of that, a lot many development or a lot what we see in the old core of the town in Ahmedabad, it is still very well preserved because of the institute, and because the institute is having a very influential what we can say, it has a very influence on the city and as well as on the government. To build the relation, the government need to trust the institute, and also the institute needs to perform well, so that they can build a trust on the government itself.
Right.
So in many cases now what is happening is SEPT is just giving 1 or 2 proposals, where it is giving a model to the city, and then the rest of the cities are following that model to continue this. So it should happen here as well. Yes, as we see that there are small design cells. There is an urban design cell in SEPT, there is a planning cell in SEPT, there is architectural cell in SEPT. So there are small cells which is working there as an architectural team. and they're giving proposals to the city. So the same thing should happen here. Definitely, people from outside are invited here. They are invited. They can collaborate with the colleges, and then they can work on the proposals here. So this cannot be a last minute proposal. So if it is a last minute proposal, then it ends up with beautification. But if it is well thought of, and if it is thought a few years previously, then we can give good proposals, and then the proposal which is there on the ground would be fruitful and would also help the people. So it cannot just work for the beautification of the city. Most of the bureaucrats are inclined towards how there is changes seen in the city and how the city can look beautified, how we can beautify the city, and not beyond that.
Do you think this is happening because I've been thinking about this that probably would it have made a difference if Nasik had let's say an urban design school or a department which looked after urban design, because that would develop a certain kind of an eye to look at the city as a larger entity, and in that how the architecture plays a role. Maybe.
I think that's what
that
was benefited through.
And similarly, CAMS is also looking for some master's programs, which has also started, no? Not yet started.
Urban design,
not the urban design.
The urban design. Yeah. Nasik College.
Nasik College. Yeah.
At the start,
I think Krivia also has become a good trigger in developing sensibly around Mumbai, especially on the eco zone. In the last few years, they've been kafi active. So, what point you're trying to make here is having an urban design school.
Yeah, we had a design and research center.
So that shifts the whole perspective, because there are so many thinking minds working together just for cities overall ecosystem, everything. So that does, and then there are a few from that they are able to reach the government and make that happen. So that I think surely helps.
Nasik has a nice cultural background itself, because it is since Peshwas. So there are many good structures in the old core of the city, and there are many beautiful buildings as we see in the old core of Ahmedabad. But then these buildings are deteriorating because nobody is looking after it, and these are deteriorating. People are demolishing the buildings, they are taking out the wood, and they're using it for some other purpose. So if there is really a good support from the colleges and institutes, definitely what we can do is we can actually refurbish the old core of the city.
And to support this intention, actually the local administration should actually start trusting or giving the responsibility to the design cells, or maybe a colleges, or maybe a group of architects to start with. If you're taking the example of SEPT, if the local bodies are not, of course SEPT is having their the class and the way they work, of course they have the different skill set altogether. But if the local administration doesn't trust them that they can really, their solutions can really help the city, or you start contributing in these problems what we are facing, things will not go ahead. These people cannot work. So administration at start should start believing on the designers who are in the city, give them a responsibility, they will start acting responsible. Otherwise they will not. Why will they? Chal raha hai, ho raha hai, things will happen like that. But if you feel that, if someone is making you feel that you are responsible for the city, and this is the job you have to do, this is the problem you have to solve, then of course we will be responsible. But they are not doing that effort. They should do that effort. Then the architect says, we cannot just work to give the suggestions. You have to seriously appoint us to do that. If you can give us the small room or small shed in the campus of NMC, we are ready to come there and sit there and work for the city. But you have to professionally appoint us that this is how you should do. This is so that brings a sense of responsibility to the person who is really working on it. So that's where
and also
the
respecting the time and the energy You just can't have one meeting and call for suggestion about beautification. That's not how it will work. They have to be.
What I think is
appointed.
both the groups, the architects and the intellectuals and the governing body, should understand their strengths. What happens is basically the architect is designing. These people are putting their heads into changing the design as per their will. Okay, so their role is basically, the architect's role is to design and the administration role is to get it approved. Okay, so they should understand the strength that they can arrange the funds, they can manage how people can come together and work, they can seek for permissions from different bodies. They know all the administrative ways and all the legal ways where we can take the proposal ahead, right? So what is happening is both are getting involved in each other's domain. So this is the main point which is hindering the work.
I'd like to go back to your urban design school question. Contradictory to that, there's a lot of like outside of Nasik and outside of Maharashtra schools who want to come here and do the study of Nasik urban development and morphology and everything. So in only recent few years I've had hosted I think 2-3 schools just coming. There's one Calicut, NIT Calicut, which came last year. This year Trivandrum College is coming. So there are people interested. So there is that character. There is something which is drawing people who understand this from outside to come here, and that's I think the plight of people like all of us, that there is worth which needs to be preserved. That does not mean that we are not for development and we are not for progressive approach and everything, but there has to be a way. That's what urban design schools and urban design says in architects, and they should be doing. So it should not be looked at as ye log to sabko manai karte hai. They'll say no to everything and things like that. So that's.
I mean, your question started with should there be any school so they can get involved in that. But now see, everybody knows that this is a city of pilgrim and the Kumbh Mela is happening here. Things are. So the person who is walking on the road, who is not an architect, who is a general person, also understand that what should be the intervention of supposedly at Mumbai Naka or Indira Nagar bypass or maybe at Dwarka. In term, because he is the person from Nashik and he knows that how much crowd it comes when there is a Kumbh. So he, by looking at the infrastructure which is already developed, he says, "Arey, ye to galat kar diya, ye itna bada circle kyun banaya?" So if that person can understand that, then of course whoever is sitting and developing and designing these pockets, they are more educated in that particular field. They should actually understand that. I mean, if that person can know, of course they can know better.
Public surveys are supposed to be a part of planning.
That's what they are not
So
doing
you
that.
begin to
That's
understand
what I'm
pulse
saying,
of
that
the city.
responsibility is not given. आप कितना भी बड़ा कुछ ले लो सिटी में लेके आओ, लेकिन यदि responsibility ही नहीं दी जा रही है, then how you can contribute, because it is not in your hand. कितना भी बात करो, कुछ भी करो, कुछ नहीं होगा. And people had that same meeting, people had given so many suggestions, but it was just written and nobody had called up for that. Okay, this was a thought you had given. Can you come and just let us know what exactly you're thinking about this?
This was 5 months ago.
5-6 months ago.
Okay.
See, here we are talking about the authority, where if it is formalized, a group of people coming together, they have been appointed and giving the authority to work on something, then their word has some value. If any architect, me or you, if we are going to NMC and proposing something, why they would listen to what proposal you are giving them? But then if a group of people which is having authority, or a school or architectural school which is approaching the government, they have some authority with them, and authority as well as responsibility, and with that they are approaching the corporation, and then they have to work on the proposals. So authority is a very important term which has to be given. Then only things can be worked formally.
Right.
Otherwise, anybody can give suggestions.
Right.
And that suggestions doesn't have any word, any value.
In between, let us know if we are diverting from your question.
No,
No.
absolutely.
If you feel so.
No.
Do you think, if the architectural community had more say in the Kumbh, what do you think would be different on ground? Like just some.
Many things.
Yeah.
I mean,
We've spoken about a lot
yeah,
of those
a lot
things.
of things already,
but-
but yeah. I mean, not see in Nashik also, not everyone is really inclined towards the city development in a logical way. Rather, they don't address to that or look at things in that perspective.
What do you mean by logical?
Logical. It's okay for them not to have things in a sequence. It's fine because their agenda is not that how the city should grow. They are just thinking about their square feet of the plot and then the development of that. You cannot stop that. Rather, that is also not a wrong way of dealing things, because if everyone starts involving, then no one's word will be taken in account. But there are some senior architects and the juniors, the new upcoming architects and the people who are working from last 15-20 years. They have the study, they have the understanding of the city, because they have seen so many events which are happening in the city, not only related to Kumbh, but many other aspects also. Right? I mean, just small example, when you talk about the Krushi exhibition which happens in the city, two places. It used to happen in the core of the city, where the old Gangapur Naka, Gangapur Naka, and now it is happening in Thakkar's Dome. So when that thing happens in the city, that is a big event, because the people from the complete periphery of Nashik, they come to the farm, related to farming, they come to city and they really explore that exhibition, because that means a lot to them. It talks about the machineries, it talks about the way of farming and everything of that sort. But in that continuation, there is nothing happens after that. The city infrastructure should get developed. So for that, in the event which happens, there are also people, the designers, who can contribute to that particular event in terms of the infrastructure of the city. So it's one of the examples. May not be correct, but it is. I'm talking about the event which happens.
Yeah.
So they had established this kind of a vision throughout the years, 20 years. So if you involve them, of course, they will give you the better suggestions. Because from the day one, when these junctions which were getting developed, now Mumbai Naka, what we are talking about, I'm talking about the main infrastructure, because the small infrastructure in the city or a core are very different scale, and these bigger infrastructure, which are the entry points of the city, they are of a different scale.
Right.
When they have developed in second time, still people were not happy with it, because the problem doesn't get solved. You are just changing the shape of the circle. That doesn't mean that you are really changing the way the vehicles are. You are just making it more chaotic, rather, when the Kumbh will come, or maybe some kind of a morcha will happen. Which just happened 2 days back. Jo Adivasi morcha nikla, complete city was blocked for 2 hours. How are you really visualizing this? But if you ask people who are the citizens and designers of Nashik, who are inclined towards or who has the vision of understanding these issues, of course the picture can be different, really different. And the infrastructure what you develop, that will sustain for more years after you finish the events. But again, every time the interventions are temporary for the event. It doesn't talk about, and we talk about it so many times in the colleges also when we meet, that it is not thoughtful for the future. I mean, the money is gone.
Right.
That's how it happens. It is not contributed in the city infrastructure.
I think I will go back to. I lost the.
The question was if you ask architects and designers to contribute to that, do you think that the infrastructure would have been better?
Yeah. So that's what I was getting back to. As Amol had previously also mentioned, you have to appoint people. When we say appoint, there is a formal appointment. There's some monetary benefit involved, and I'm responsible, and hence I deliver. So that's very important, and in bits and pieces that has started happening, not maybe for Kumbh, but like recently I'm involved with there's this organization called WRI, which has been appointed by the NMC to work out a climate action plan for Nasik city. So there is an observation that there is every summer the temperatures are rising by 2-3 degrees every year, and Nasik is becoming hotter and hotter, and they have developed so NMC has been thoughtful enough to involve a sensible organization like WRI, who is research based organization, mostly represented by architects, urban designers, environmentalists, etc. So they've been appointed, they're working on a climate action plan, and they are now providing solutions to mitigate the heat stress and heat effect and everything. So in bits and pockets this is happening. Again, they are also involving some local NGOs and foundations in getting the things really done at grassroots level. So that's happening. Then there is we are currently under preparation of the regional plan development of Nasik city, so that's also happening. They are inviting and involving people ki come over, give suggestions, hum regional plan bana rahe hain. Again, if it cannot stay at suggestion level, then I just give suggestions and go away. I'm not held responsible and whatever. So if that happens, then it may be a lot beneficial in the longer run. So all these intensive thinking and thoughts and ideas that we have for the city will not be a report on the shelf, and it will hopefully get implemented then. So yeah, in bits and pieces it's happening. Some departments are working towards it, or probably departments who are not pressed by time and budget and everything, they are doing it. Something like Kumbh may not be able to do it. So yeah.
See, I may sound brutal, but the thing is, the decisions about the intervention cannot be taken by 1 or 2 bureaucrats. Because of their mood, the design cannot change. Okay, and it should not be, the decision should not be taken by them. It should be a group of people who should be sitting together. These people should be learned people. People should have some experience in designing things, and a group of people should take the decision, and then this thing has to get executed. So मुझे Wonder of the World का 7 Wonder of the World का garden बना के चाहिए. This should not happen. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. There should be a logical reasoning behind proposing gardens and all the development infrastructure, whatever we are talking about.
Right. Yeah. I think a few years back, few days back, we had a discussion. You said something. You quoted a person saying that the Indian cities need to be more dehumanized, decluttered, and
dehumanized.
So that's quite interesting because
decluttered and rehumanized.
Decluttered and dehumanized. If that's not a correct word, I'm not able
decrowding.
Decrowding. So it was in the context that this place-making thing that is going on globally, mostly in the Western context, it is to do with making places invite people, because you would have less number of people, and of course climate and other aspects would not make the public places very active. But Indian context, the scenario is exactly reverse. You have to stop people from coming. One, very large number of people we have. Second, there are a lot of religious and other reasons people come despite all the discomforts and everything. So this was a very interesting take that I had.
So I want to just link
Yeah,
it to
yeah.
the ecological question.
Yes.
Of, let's say the river.
Yes,
When
yes.
we build more carts, we provide more accessibility for people to
Yes.
go and wash their clothes or maybe wash their cars and all of that. And I don't know. I mean, the thing is that one thing is that we need to accommodate a lot of pilgrims who are coming in every subsequent Kumbh. But then, is it a good idea to have? Are we looking at permanent things at places where we could do with temporary things, and vice versa? So, how much permanent should we build, and how much of it should be temporary? Ultimately, it leads to your first response, where the legacy issue starts to come in. As to what happens to so much
The
that we build,
infrastructure.
infrastructure. So, I don't know if I've asked a
Yeah.
question, but
One of the point to start with, as we keep discussing this, that and it comes with if you just particularly talk about the river ecology, we say that or rather practically it is such that the Godavari is a very young river, that's what we keep calling, because the distance, it just starts 30 kilometers away. So the basin is not bigger. The ecology of that particular basin, which till Nashik you talk about, it is not able to develop because the development around it's very high. Okay. Initially the left side of the river was not getting developed in the new urban areas, but now that is also started happening. So if you start bombarding with these new developments which are permanent in the river basin, of course it is going to hamper the ecology of the river. And if you can do things with the temporary things, nothing like it. Building under the river bed,
It's criminal.
just for the sake of showing that you're developing the city or doing something betterment for the city and the events which are going to happen every 12 years, then I don't think so that is the right way of doing it. Like Ali was mentioning at the start, that the ghats are stretched till the Tapovan now, where nobody comes. Rather, after Tapovan bridge also, in the Tapovan area itself, there is ghat what there, where already a rocky surface was there. They have built on that rocky surface, which was not. I mean, how logical is that? So that shouldn't happen. Unnecessary development in the river basin shouldn't be done. And this is what I feel. One of the points what I want to mention.
I mean, again, the same thing, as much as because the river is young and the ecology, of course. But is it the same reason that this is happening? Because contradictory to, I'm sure you must have seen Haridwar and Prayagraj, they have these temporary jetties becoming ghats and everything, because there's humongous water.
There's water.
The floating infrastructure or the ephemeral ghat infrastructure floats. We do not have that much of water to operate all this in first place. So is it because of that we go into a permanent solution, or do we have something in between which is okay for the amount of water we have and which is still not permanent and disturbing ecological permanent ecology? So because we cannot compare the case with Ganga and the basin it has at Haridwar, तो वो फ्लोटिंग वाला इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वहाँ बहुत इफेक्टिवली वर्क करता है जो यहाँ नहीं हो सकता है.
जेटीज वगैरह भी नहीं.
हाँ, मतलब it's very मतलब we cannot have that as a precedent also, and which has happened. We have proposed, I mean, smart cities have had proposals of jetties in Godavari in Nasik, which is a very nascent river at our stretch. So I don't know. So that's a point of research. What kind then works where the river basin is very shallow. It is still very nascent.
There were the people like product designers and industrial
Yeah,
designers.
I mean, yes.
They should get involved.
Yeah, I'm sure there must be a solution.
Right.
Of course, there will be a solution.
But
Actually, I've been thinking about this, and one thing which just came to our mind is we have these rahats which go back to their original place. Can we have such rahats where we have Godavari, the river, and people can just have a dip, and then it goes back to its own. So the reversibility of we have that. I mean,
yeah, as very rightly said. Even in the proposals, what we given initially, what we did is we try to create such small pools around the river where people put their nirmala into that kund itself, and they don't pollute the river, and then that nirmala can be removed from that kund itself. And also, as it is along the basin of along the ghat edge, so it is also increasing the surface area of the ghat to accommodate more people in. So that can be one of the interventions. So that is what the intervention has to be very thoughtful. I understand there is a need of a development, and I understand there is a lot many people coming for Kumbh here, and there will be a lot many pressure onto it. But then, just as it was done earlier, they have concretized the entire river bed, which has eventually closed all major of the aquifers, which was very important, which was supplying water to this area, and because of that aquifers, the water was getting clean. Okay, so now they are taking measures where the entire river bed, all the concrete was removed. Many aquifers have again activated. They have activated again, and it's working. So and they've also broken the Dhobi Ghat there. So the river basin again has increased. So intervention has to be there, but it has to be a thoughtful intervention where you're definitely going to affect the ecology. But definitely, if they're affecting the ecology, it has to be to a certain limit.
yeah, I think historically also Ramkund, as we had also researched during our proposal, Ramkund was a constructed ghat from day one also, and there was a separate natural river flow that was happening, and this was intended for public use and hence was constructed and whatsoever. So having more constructions over there and increasing the surface area of the ghats and all this works. The Rahar solution that you are also talking about may work, but as you go away from the core, the Ramkund area, and the river starts becoming natural, is where you should be more cautious of the ecology and everything around that. I guess, yeah.
But it's. I mean, you cannot stop this. That's what I feel. See, what we see, the images of 1960 or maybe not 1960, before that, when the ghats were getting built, and that time, you see very few people there walking through the river and walking on those rocky surfaces, natural rocky surfaces, because Ramkund was completely the rocky surface. Only 2-3 ponds were there, Lakshmanakund, Ramkund, these areas.
You're talking about the Gandhi, like when it was
that entire stretch.
And completely rocky, and the ghats built in between that. But what you see there was very few people walking in there. But eventually, if you see the timeline until today, now if you go every morning, there is no place to stand. I mean, the number of people who are there are so many there that you have to make a platform to them to stand into the river basin, because there is no space. Like Ali was mentioning about, one side was completely empty, and then you can do the rituals there, and then you have a lot of space where people can accommodate. But in Nashik, it is not the case. Both the sides are developed with residential and commercial activities. So people doesn't have place to stand other than the river basin. So the concretization happened. That doesn't mean that we want to support that, but we cannot do anything. If people are coming, where will they stand? So that is a practical problem where sometimes I feel concretizing the river basin was again a practical solution for that. I mean, we are on the both sides. We don't want to spoil it, but if you want to see where the people will stand, then you think, वो तो करना ही पड़ेगा, नहीं तो कहाँ रुकेंगे लोग. I mean, such a platforms which are created. Still, last Kumbh there were 45 people died in stampede. Just imagine if there is no platform for stampede. What will happen if same quantity of the people, the people coming in and going out?
Right.
How will they really control?
Right.
In this case, sometimes we cannot blame the administration because they are helpless. How many people will control and where will you control? You can control in the periphery of that area, but how will you control the center of it?
Right.
You cannot, because that is so kind of it's
Permeable and accessible. How many points will you control?
How will you do that?
Yeah.
It just happened. You cannot control that situation. That's how it is.
According to my estimate, there will be about 40 crore people coming this time.
See,
So
That's what
that
everybody
is
is estimating,
one
and
more
that's
public coming to Nasik.
I cannot imagine how will I come from my home.
no, you take a holiday of that.
So we really think that this ecology and things like that, of course, it can happen other than this spot.
Right.
I mean, after Godavari or after some places, it can happen. But sometimes you have to really take these hard decisions to build inside. Otherwise, no one is happy to build something inside. And that is happening because again, one of the point where again coming back to that it's a very young river, so you don't have a lot of water. So the river is most of the time the river is empty. Right? It's only the Lakshman Kund and that area is water. Ram Kund they
Pump in water.
Pump in water. Because where does Godavari go? It's go in Gangapur Dam, and Gangapur Dam is the source of water for the complete city. They cannot just waste the water.
Right.
There are some terms and conditions where you have to leave the water because for the next cities they need water. Otherwise, I mean, if you see there is no water, so the basin is completely empty. So they get the platform to build something. So that's what they do.
Traditionally, between the four Kumbh cities, Nasik's Kumbh was the smallest.
Yeah.
But over the years,
I think until now, we let's see how the 40 crore works now. Yeah, it has been small as compared to, I think, and the reason is that only that it happens in the core and not outside the city. So it has always had that containment. And again, Nasik is a city where it is split into two places, Nasik and Trambak, because of whatever history it has had. So that also contains. But let's see what happens this time around.
So the Kumbh should be seen as a very Nasik specific event in this case, and designs should be according to the
very
city.
much.
That is one thing.
I would like to add to Purva's point where she was saying that initially there was a river and there was a canal built for the rituals. So the same situation persists in Haridwar itself. So at Har Ki Pauri, all the ghats are built on the canal itself and not on the main river, and the main river flows from the outside the city. Okay. There is one more point. There is the nature is dominating the what we can say. Nature is dominating all the decisions there, as there are mountains on one side in Haridwar, and there is huge Ganga on one side, which is having a huge flow. So whatever you are trying to build on the river, nothing is sustaining on that river, right? But as the river in Nasik is very young, so what is happening is we are trying to dominate it. We are trying to build more things around, and also we don't have any space because everything is built on both the sides of the river. So we cannot keep a separate space for the water to flow as a natural river flow and a separate canal for the same reason.
You visited Ujjain and Haridwar?
I visited Ujjain, Haridwar.
Or was it
No, it was a long journey. I am visiting since 2009. In the one of the proposal was in Ujjain. So it was just before Kumbh in Ujjain. So we were invited by CNS President so that we can give proposal for the city.
Okay.
And for Haridwar, one of my friends stays in Haridwar, so I just visited him at the Kumbh duration. So I was lucky to see everything what is happening in the city. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope we answered.
Yes, absolutely.